I couldn't see him.
I'm hiding back here.
Because of the tripod.
Which is why you're arranging things for today.
Am I on the way here? No, I'm there. Yes, you are.
morning, everybody. My name is Joy Hemel, and I'm the service coordinator for this morning. Today here at All Souls Church, where our mission is to seek truth, practice love, and celebrate life. Whether you are joining us for the first time, or you've been a member for a long time, you are welcome here. Whatever faiths you know or not know, or whatever your heritage, you are welcome here. Whatever questions you hold, whatever truths you seek, whatever sorrow you have known, whatever joy has filled your heart, whoever you are and whomever you love, you are welcome here. As you can see, we have a few announcements printed at the bottom of the program regarding next Sunday. As usual, we have mindfulness meditation at 9:15. We have our regular service at 10, where Peter Holland, who was originally scheduled for today, but because of illness, has exchanged with Minister Alan Sogstad. Peter Holland will be talking about the future for prisons and humankind. And of course, we'll again have spirit play and coffee, followed by the annual business meeting. So we have a full Sunday next Sunday. Are there any other announcements that people would like to make? All right, Kevin Cole, take the questions.
Two brief announcements. One, Mother's Day was invented, shall we say, by Unitarian Julia Ward. So note that. The information about that is posted on the All Souls Facebook page this morning. Also, be sure to take a few moments and come out to our Peace Garden where the irises are in bloom. It's a sea of purple out there. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Eric, and just a couple of two quick ones. Next week will be our annual meeting, and at that annual meeting, we're going to be looking for a member to join the church board who will be taking the secretary's position. So just keep that in mind, we'll be looking for a secretary. And then also next Sunday, we're going to sneak into the service a little bit and do a welcoming to our new members. So if you have any questions about being a member or taking an informative class about becoming a member of All Souls Church or Unitarian Universalism, just go ahead and find me. Thank you.
Good morning, Rick Nogi here. This has nothing to do with spirituality, but it has everything to do with good citizenship. This Tuesday, May 16th, is Election Day in Sioux Falls for the Sioux Falls School Board. If you haven't voted yet, you can early vote yet tomorrow at the Instructional Planning Center. Election Day is on Tuesday. The school district is doing those voting center things. Don't ask me where they all are, I have no idea. But I know you can vote at the Instructional Planning Center, which is at 201 East 38th Street, behind the Hy-Vee, just off of Phillips Avenue. There are 3 candidates on the ballot. 2 people are actually running. I won't insult your intelligence by telling you exactly how I want you to vote. I will tell you that I voted for Dawn Marie Johnson for reasons that she's got the experience. And whether you vote for her or not, I don't care. Well, I do care, but I do want you to vote. That's the important thing. Local government has a profound impact on your life, and even though you don't have children in school, you interact pretty much every day with the product of public education, whether you're at the grocery store, at the gas station, at your doctor's office. 9 times out of 10, those people were educated in public education. So local school boards are really important. Thank you.
Okay, other announcements. Yes? No? All right, well, we're waiting for possible other announcements. I will just mention, Minister Allen just told me that on the bulletin board in our foyer, we have a list of voting places.
Ah.
So you can refer to that. And I see another announcement coming forward, Ms. Sue Ann.
Finally, the community, First Congregational Church, Spirit of Peace and All Souls are coming together to prepare to do an OWL training, Our Whole Lives. And thank you, First Congregational, for taking the lead on this. So we are looking, and there will be a facilitators training, which is something that is best to do if you're going to be a facilitator for this group. There are already some committed for First Congregational, but it would be wonderful to have some from All Souls trained as facilitators also, because it is a wonderful training. I've gone through it. Pat and Eric have gone through it. Janet Gunsey has gone through it. Anyway, it is a wonderful training, and there'll be more information coming. Kevin?
What is OWL?
Oh, OWL is Our Whole Lives, and it is a sexuality training that First Congregational churches and Unitarian churches have developed, beginning at a very, very young age and going through mature adult age. It's divided in age sections. I believe that we will be focusing on middle school and I believe high school for this training. There will be more announcements coming as we get going here. But anyway, FYI, watch for the announcements.
Okay, thank you. If there are no further announcements then, we shall hear our prayers. Carol.
I just realized that we need to put that in
begin our service, we will light the chalice. So our reading this morning for the chalice lighting comes from number 448 in the back of your hymnal. This is by Christine Robinson. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We like this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. You would join me in our first song. It's number 42 in your gray hymnal. Our first reading today is also in the back of your hymnal. If you would turn to number 596, please. I shall read the regular type and ask if you would please respond with the words in italics. From Venezuela, Boundless Goodwill. Let us cultivate boundless goodwill.
Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state.
Let none in anger or ill will wish another harm.
Even as a mother watches over her child, so with boundless mind should one cherish all living beings.
Radiating friendliness over the whole world.
Above, below, and all around, without limit.
May it be so. I shall now read a story for all ages, where we invite the children to come up front and sit around the chair here. I've chosen a story from our library here in Sioux Falls called My Heart is a Compass by Deborah Marchero. Come on up. So look at this book. Isn't this cool? My heart is a compass. Now, do you guys know what a compass is? Yeah? Okay. So it's a little thing, usually, what direction does it usually point, do you know? That little arrow usually points
North.
north, right. Do you know where we are here? Which way is north? Who knows which way is north? You know? You think it's this way?
No, you pointed way.
I think Mama thinks it's this way. This way. I mean, it's true if you're facing forward, you expect it because of our habits, you expect it to be above you, but actually it is this way. So this is about a little girl who wants to explore and go places all over, all different worlds. And so I'm going to read it to you. It's called My Heart is a Compass. Okay, well, her name is Rose. Rose longed to be an explorer, a pioneer, a trailblazer. And her heart was set on discovering something that had never, ever been found. She wanted to find something new. That's really exciting, isn't it? So, it could have been anything. Maybe a butterfly, maybe something exotic. What does that look like? Sort of like a dragon, right? Oh, did it even exist? So there she is diving underwater. There's a whole bunch of things we don't know about underwater, aren't there?
Mermaid.
Yes, there's even a mermaid. Wow. So, for that, she needed a map. And not an atlas or a globe. To find the secret coordinates, she would have to draw her own map. So she decided there was no map that would show something that wasn't discovered. So she would have to make her own. So here she is, got some paper, got some pens or pencils. She's drawing her own map. You guys ever tried to draw your own map?
I tried once.
Well, you know, hers doesn't look too good right now, but let's see what happens. Let's see. So as she sketched and scaled, Rose's hand quivered. Her lines wiggled and shimmied off the page. So she's just drawing lots of things here. Her imagination became a blueprint, with her heart a compass. So look at her, she's drawing, I think she sort of thinks she's drawing maybe her cities, where she lives. She's got all sorts of names there. She's got a greenhouse. You guys been to a greenhouse? There's greenhouses here in Sioux Falls, yeah. And you know what we have up here in front that Jerry Fogg drew for us is based on the back of a city blueprint from the office of Sioux Falls, but it's mirrored, it's reflected, funny because it's a duplicate. That is a map of Sioux Falls on which Jerry put his art. So she's doing that. She's drawing a map. Maybe you guys would like to draw a map later when you leave us. She's got a legend here about there are the roads. The roads are white. The river's blue. See, it's sort of like the map we have up front. You guys can see that? So let's see what's going to happen. At the beach, Rose saw plenty of sea stars, shells and gulls, and there was no treasure to be found. And then she charted the sky, and she launched into the cosmos. So she's looking down in the water, up in the sky. She's just exploring all over. And wow, what happened here? She's making a sky map. And again, she's got her idea of the sky, what's going on here. Here's some continents, ocean, and then the sky. There's some satellites up in the sky. And again, she's made a legend. And I know that it's fun to try to do that. You could even map your own house. That'd be easier, maybe, right? Or map your own room. But she's making maps. And here it says, although the atmosphere was full of adventure, shooting stars and billowing northern lights, Rose parachuted to an island, still empty-handed. She didn't find what she was looking for. So she parachuted down. Yeah, there's her exit. That was where she was supposed to land on the island. And then, you see, she's always got a little black cat with her. So she mapped the ocean and set sail. She's still got a little black cat. Oh my goodness, look what she's found. She's got another legend here. This is her ocean map. She's got all sorts of what? What are these things in the ocean? Creatures. Sea monster type creatures. She's found something called, well, she's got Cat Island. That sort of looks like a cat. She's got a mermaid, yeah, Mermaid Island. She's just got a whole bunch of stuff.
Apple Island.
Yeah. So what happens next? Rose found harbor in a city with skyscrapers near every cloud and rainbow. but there was no rare jewel to behold. So she plotted train tracks and the mountains. So everything she went to, she wrote down in her maps. Here's her map of the city. Broken Rainbow City. Wow. Well, we all know that cities have maps. Oh yeah, what do you see? Oh no, there's another dragon. Does everybody see that? Yeah, what's that dragon doing in the city? I don't know. Yeah. And notice this is a compass. See the north is at the top?
Oh, there's people planning.
Cool. This is really amazing. So then what happened next? Oh my goodness. She stepped off at the very last stop, and as the low sun came at the end of another day, Rose knew she must return home, but with nothing in her pockets. She'd done all that traveling and had nothing in her pockets. She found herself in the same place she began. And there's her mom. Rose, there you are. So she's back at home. The next day in class, when Rose's turn came, her stomach sank. And then she shared her story of searching far and wide, high and low, and returning empty-handed. So she's telling her disappointed classmates about her disappointment. All she has is a bunch of maps. But she shared maps with the other kids, and Rose looked around the room and finally saw it too. She had found something no one had ever seen before. Because look they've all opened up her maps, and what are they seeing? This one says, oh, this looks like a fairy tale. They're looking at her maps. What does this word say? You know what that word is? Amazing.
That's brave.
Brave, bravo! They're saying bravo. They're looking at her maps. They're so impressed with her imagination and her maps that they feel that she's given them something of value.
Like me.
Yeah, heart, yes, that means love. This person says rare. This person says beautiful. They're very impressed with her maps. So she found that she had found something no one had ever seen or heard before. It was more than the world, it was everything she imagined. So it was all in her imagination, and it was very beautiful to other people. She felt like an explorer, a trailblazer, a pioneer, and everyone who had the chance to hear Rose's tale did too. And so here they are saying, where would you go? And they're all drawing their own maps. And their own maps are coming from where? Where are they coming from? They're not exactly like, where? Yeah, from Rose, they got their inspiration from Rose to draw their own maps of what was inside their mind too, their imagination. So it's very important to use your imagination, and that's why this is called my heart. My heart is a compass. What I have inside of me and what I love is my own compass for what I imagine and what I draw. So I will ask now that we play the song to sing you out, and we will go downstairs and play. Does anybody want to take the book with them to look at? Okay, just bring it back to me afterwards, okay? Thank Okay, so in this congregation, we found that it's helpful. You can take it downstairs, just bring it back to me before you leave. And it belongs to the public library. Thank you. Okay, so we found it helpful to share the ups and downs of our lives by taking a stone, warming it in our hands, the sun, and dropping it in the water. And I usually ask people if they want to say their name and express their joy or concern out loud. So I'm going to take a stone and put this in for my mother and all mothers on this Mother's Day. I sort of view the earth as my mother also. And so this is for all the mothers everywhere. Thank you. Come on up and share with us your joys and concerns.
Good morning, I'm Joe. My wife is Allison back there. Happy Mother's Day, Allie. I have a lighthearted joy and a concern. It's the same thing. We had a dog show up at our house about 3 weeks ago. Appears to be about 8 months old or so. And the poor thing just had no evidence of ever really having lived with humans. I think had been confined. I think, it had been around people but hadn't been spoken to, had no idea what the word dog was, didn't know what the ball was. Just sad. But she's coming around. She's doing very well. Potty training is a concern, but she is a joy, and hope good things for us because I'm not sweet. And happy Mother's Day.
My name's Eric, and this is a joy about one of the young people that grew up within this church. Micah Standing Soldier has just graduated from the University of Minnesota Law School. She was a commencement speaker. We're really proud of her. And it's so encouraging to see the next generation stepping up. The Keezers here, next generation, they're okay. This is to the next generation, and to Micah. And there's a card in the back if you wish to sign it.
Good morning, my name is Nelson, and this is totally unplanned, but Eric's mention spurred me to remember recently I discovered Mato Standing Soldier, who through his high school years attended this church and would go downstairs with the kids during the service for quite a while. He went on to graduate from the University of Southern California, and today he is producing music and music videos for documentaries and some movies and things like that, and well on his way to a career path that he chose in the art field of arts, and he's doing very well. So hats off to that young man as well. And happy Mother's Day.
This stone is for Marina Scott, my wife's granddaughter and my step-granddaughter, who graduated from Lyman High School yesterday, and that's in Lyman County, West Chamberlain. And we went there for the ceremony and got to see a lot of family members. And kind of the highlight, I guess, of the program, I thought was, small schools have different advantages and disadvantages. I thought it was very touching when they had a faculty choir sing a song of blessing to the new graduates. So hats off to Marina and Lyman County.
My son Logan has a special friend, Kelsey, who has also been a part of our family for the last 2 years. And last week, Friday, she graduated from USD from the nursing program. And so this is a joy for her. And best wishes as she moves on to take her big exam that she's got to take. So this is Kelsey.
Good morning, my name is Pat, and I've got 2 concerns. I have a niece named Melanie Grace out of California who's got an eye infection that has put her in the hospital. And then I have a friend who is at Stanford Hospital right now. She has brain surgery.
Thank you for sharing. I will take one final large stone and put it in the water so that it may ripple out to the greater world, and all of our joys and concerns, both those expressed and unexpressed, may be shared with the greater world. I now invite you for a couple of moments of silent reflection so we can think about what we just heard and whatever else is on our mind. Next, I would ask you to join me in song number 127, And I See Another's Glow. I think when you hear the melody, you'll find it quite easy to follow along. However, I don't think we've ever sung it before, so I will ask Carol to play it through one time, and then we can probably very easily sing all three verses. Please be seated. Our next reading is number 489 from the back of the hymnal by Max A. Kuntz. I will read the regular type and ask you to please respond with the italicized type. When love is felt or fear is known,
When holidays and holy days and such times come,
when anniversaries arrive by calendar or consciousness,
when seasons come as seasons do, old and known, but somehow new,
when lives are born or people die,
when something sacred sensed in soil or sky,
mark the time.
respond with thought or prayer or smile or grief.
Let nothing living slip between the fingers of the mind.
For all these things, holy things, we will not, cannot find again.
So now I will introduce our minister, Minister Ellen Sogstad, who will give us a message about when things fall apart.
I'll start by mentioning that some years ago, earlier in the century, I worked in the insurance industry, and we talk a lot about emergency preparedness these days. And in the insurance industry, you're helping people be financially prepared for the unexpected. And so at one point, the company I represented invited in a speaker by the name of General Honore, who was in charge of the FEMA operations in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. And General Honore talked about the kinds of emergency preparedness that he believes everybody should take in case of the unexpected, like having a survival kit in our homes, probably in the basement if we have a basement. It could include everything from a generator to supply of non-perishable food and water and things like that, and even $200 in cash in case the electrical grid goes down, and the list goes on and on. I don't do that, so I won't pretend that I took his message to heart, but it is something that is kind of sobering to think about, and I think we've come to appreciate more and more the fact that we have first responders who do these drills all the time so that they're ready for the unexpected. So today our topic is really about being prepared for an emergency in a spiritual sense. So you could call this spiritual emergency preparedness. And I'm relying heavily on this book, When Things Fall Apart, by Pema Chodron, who incidentally has been quoted in our mindfulness meditation sessions, which have been led by Mark Beveridge recently, and he quoted extensively from this author, so we're both kind of using the same resource here. Last week, well, this is last month now, a leader from the banking industry was quoted as saying the best time to deal with problems in the banking industry is when everything is going well, not in the midst of crisis. And in the same way, all of us would do well to be proactive in dealing with the unexpected and preparing for the unexpected. Over thousands of years, we human beings have evolved and survived by learning to deal with danger, usually by running away. Running away from things that we fear, whether it's wild animals, or wildfires, or raging floods, or enraged persons. And those who didn't run away over the centuries sometimes didn't survive. And so that's kind of the normal inclination, a whole fight or flight. And flight was often the rational thing to do. However, if we look at Buddhist writings, we find that there's a contrast to this strategy. Buddhist teachers sometimes suggest that for spiritual survival and for spiritual strengthening, what we really need to do is to learn to lean into our pain and move toward the things that we fear and not run away from them. So what does this look like? How can we do this? Or should we? And what difference will it make? Is there a positive return from learning to face our fears and stare them down instead of running away from them. It starts with a spirit of radical acceptance of everything that comes our way. Instead of expecting everything to be perfect, instead of expecting life to always be easy and success at every venture and fun all the time, which is what we often see in kids and contemporary culture, especially in the media. The life includes pain as well as pleasure, struggle as well as smooth sailing. And so we need both of these to be complete. So here's the first quote from Pema Chodron on this subject. The splendidness of life lifts our spirits and we go forward with enthusiasm. When we hear pleasant news or meet with inspiring teachers, when we enjoy the company of good friends or find ourselves in beautiful places, when we feel that everything is ideal and hunky-dory, then naturally we feel joyful and at ease. But what if all this good fortune makes us arrogant or complacent or indifferent to the sufferings of others? Wretchedness can actually humble us. It cuts through any sense of superiority or entitlement, through any delusions that comfort is somehow our birthright. So if there's too much wretchedness, too much misery and despair, it makes us want to collapse and never get out of bed. So the sweetness of life and the harshness of life actually complement each other. Splendidness provides vision, and wretchedness keeps us on the ground. Think also about the contrast between praise and blame. One of my favorite poems in elementary school was If by Rudyard Kipling, who says, you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. Some of you might have remembered those numbers, those words as well. You can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same. Praise and blame are fairly simple examples of this ability to see the balance, to see the two sides of the coin, learning to take whatever comes and not be thrown off course. There's a quote about praise and blame also. We want to be complimented. We don't want to be criticized. Some people blossom when they receive kudos for a job well done, but go to pieces when they receive criticism, even if it's constructive criticism. Young children, teenagers, and yes, even the most mature adults can have our spirits lifted by compliments, but cast down by criticism. We are so easily blown about by the winds of praise and blame. Well, here's a quote from 2,500 years ago on this subject. They criticize the silent ones, they criticize the talkative ones, they criticize the moderate ones. There is no one in the world that escapes criticism. There never was and there never will be, nor is there now the holy criticized or the holy approved. That was by a Buddhist teacher 2,500 years ago. So now let's go deeper and look at a stark example from Tibet, the boyhood home of the Dalai Lama, the home of some of the deepest spiritual traditions and practices. The picture on the cover of our program today is from Tibet, in case you didn't notice. It's been called the country at the top of the world, located high in the Himalaya mountains. In Tibet, where the ground is frozen most of the year, earth burial is impossible. And so, here's what they do. Sorry, I'm having trouble finding that particular quotation. It's not on the page where I thought it was. Awakening in the Charnel Ground. When someone dies, because the ground is frozen most of the year and earth burial is impossible, the body is cut into pieces and taken to the charnel ground, the burial ground where jackals and vultures and other birds of prey come and feed on the body parts. Strewn with limbs and eyeballs and entrails, the charnel ground is a grisly place, hardly somewhere we would want to hang out. But it's in just such a place, surrounded by vivid reminders of death and impermanence, that brave Buddhist meditators can practice staying awake and present under the most difficult circumstances. So as I said, it's so-called country at the top of the world, but they're not singing, I'm sitting on top of the world. The charnel ground has become a metaphor for life exactly as it is, rather than how we would like it to be. Uncertainty and unpredictability, impermanence and change, good times and hard times, sorrow and joy, loss and gain, all of this constitutes our home ground, the mandala of our life, our base for practicing fearlessness and compassion. And so we work with whatever is, rather than struggle against it. Now here's a practical example of how this radical acceptance of the impermanence and horror and ugliness of life can transform a person. There was a soldier with post-traumatic stress disorder. And he said that this radically different approach to pain had saved his life. He had finally found a way to work with his recurring flashbacks of seeing a comrade he was very close to being blown to bits right beside him. Instead of trying to get rid of these horrific memories and the emotions that they triggered, he had been encouraged by a therapist to turn toward those dark memories, to lean into his emotions and feel them briefly or as bravely as he could. Doing this in short sessions had allowed him to relax with his vulnerability and helplessness and with the feelings that his friend's death had been his fault, even though it wasn't. His guilt, thinking that he could have prevented it, even though he couldn't. His mistaken thinking that he didn't deserve to be the one who survived. Little by little, as he let those feelings arise and build up and take over, and then he let them go. And he gradually came to have peace. The soldier learned to stop running away from the pain and instead move toward it in small doses. This kind of healing, this kind of courage, this kind of strength is available to each of us if we're willing to stop running away from the pain or the boredom or the fear or the confusion or whatever it is that we're trying to avoid in our lives whenever we go shopping or overeat or indulge in mindless TV or whatever addiction or bad habits we use to run away from the unpleasantness of life. As we learn to face our fears and face down our fears and meet each day with a spirit of openness to whatever comes our way, we can have peace and confidence instead of anxiety and worry. And so that's what I mean by spiritual preparedness. There's a group that advertises their place on the UU website with the phrase, "Facing the apocalypse with a smile." That's the same mentality. So this is obviously based on the principle of encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. That's the UU principle. And if we were to say this is based on a Buddhist principle, it would be the principle of non-attachment to results. Being able to take what comes and not be overly attached to any particular result or outcome. And here's an example of how I see it working out in daily life. If, for example, my wife and I want to get in touch with someone and maybe go and visit them or invite them to be with us or go out for coffee or whatever, there's sometimes a temptation to say, well, no, they're too busy, or they won't want to do it today, or whatever. But instead of second guessing, we can simply share the invitation, and they can say yes, or they can say no, and we're okay either way. We have non-attachment to the results. A more humorous example of non-attachment that I love ever since I heard the story was about a group of monks in a very serious and dedicated and severe Buddhist temple with a severe overseer, and they wanted to watch the World Cup on television. And so one of them drummed up the courage to represent the others and asked the superior if they could watch the World Cup this time. And the superior kind of frowned and said, I will give you an answer in 3 days. And so they waited impatiently. And after 3 days, the superior gave them their answer. Yes, you may watch the World Cup, but you must not show any emotion.
Oh.
Non-attachment to the results. With that spirit of non-attachment, it gives us serene confidence that whatever comes our way in this world, whatever tragedies might strike, obviously death is one, but sometimes there are things that could happen to us that would be worse than death. Losing someone we love, losing our eyesight or our hearing, losing our career, losing our fortune, losing our health, a tragic accident, whatever it might be. To be able to face anything with a spirit of resignation and hope and confidence, knowing that we can still deal with this. There's an old hymn from the Christian tradition, which some of you may recall, that suggests this same spirit of equanimity or non-attachment. When peace like a river attends my way, when sorrows like deep billows roll, whatever my lot, I have learned now to say, it is well with my soul. We might ask us, in the face of something we don't understand, think that is impossible to deal with, what is the universe trying to teach me this time? So whatever it is that you fear on a global perspective, deadly weapons, economic inequality, crumbling ethics, climate change, there's a Hindu concept called Kali Yuga, which talks about imbalance. In a world overrun with self-centeredness, ignorance, recklessness, and war. And I have a feeling that that's also an ancient phrase, because these have always been present in the world, and the Hindu tradition is ancient, and so there has been plenty of this throughout the centuries. But the Buddhist author Thich Nhat Hanh wrote before his passing, the 21st century must be a century of the spirit, or it may not be a century at all. In other words, it may not last for a whole 100 years. And finally, a quote from perhaps an unlikely spiritual writer, Steve Jobs, had this to say, I believe it was during a commencement address in his final illness. Steve Jobs wrote, remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I have ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or fear of failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking that you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. May it be so for us.
Thank you. Now is the time when we ask for an offering. As most of you already know, we give half of our offering to a charity, and for the next 2 months, the board has chosen the charity, the Lakota charity of Motto Standing Soldier, who we mentioned earlier, who I had the privilege for many years of teaching Sunday school with Motto, and we're really looking forward to seeing him again as he comes back here on June 17th to play at the Levitt. Hopefully a bunch of us can go see him. So we'd like to give a half the collection plate for May and June to his Lakota charity. I will not try to pronounce it, although it is written here in the bottom of the ordering service. It's WOOHITIKE, and this charity helps develop the Lakota language, keeps the Lakota language alive, as well as does many other charitable outreach groups among the Lakota people. So I will pass it on the plate and welcome your generous offerings. Thank you, Carol. I'll now invite you all to join me in reading together the words printed in your order of service under Words to Receive the Offering. We
Give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another.
Our third song is perhaps a bit challenging today. If you look in your gray hymnal, the words we're going to sing are on page 373. So on page 373, there are some, I would call them stanzas, poems, at the bottom of the page. And we're going to sing the words in 376 for the first verse, the one that begins "Sing Loudly." And then we're going to use the words in 377 for the second verse, the one that begins "In Greening Lands." And then for the third verse, we're going to use the words on 379, which begins "Ours be the Poems." Carol is going to play the melody, which is off on the pages over to the left. You'll hear this melody. You'll recognize this. Carol's going to play the melody through once, and then we'll sing the stanzas now.
Please flow.
Sing loudly till the stars have heard.
number 553. This is by Nancy Wood. Earth, cure me. Earth, receive my woe. Rock, strengthen me. Rock, receive my weakness. Rain, wash my sadness away. Rain, receive my doubt. Sun, make sweet my song. Sun, receive the anger from my heart. I will now extinguish the chalice and ask you to join me in the words printed in your program.
The chalice is extinguished, but the light goes with us out into the world.
Please join us for coffee and a triple discussion after coffee, after Carol plays Boston. Then go back here about nothing funny. Circle discussion.
Good morning, I'm Sue Ann.
I am Brian.